We're going to get started here. I know that there are some people still coming in from the parking lot, but this is videotaped. It will be posted tomorrow, so anybody who didn't see the beginning can watch the video if they're that interested. Let me start by introducing myself. For those of you who have their oldest child coming here next year, I am the principal here. My name is Darren Groh. I've been here since 2004, principal since 2006, so I've been here, I guess, longer than any of our incoming ninth graders have been alive. So I've seen a lot, so I have a lot to offer today, and this program is really built over time. It's built, really encompasses all the experiences that we've had here when we think about welcoming our 8th grade to the 9th grade here at Chatham High School, and for the parents as well. Before we move further along, I'm going to introduce two of my assistant principals, Mr. Doug Walker and Mrs. Laura Geronda. So they're going to be familiar faces and names that you're going to be seeing over the course of time as well. So tonight what we have is curriculum night. It's going to talk about the beginning of the scheduling process. We're going to go through the program of studies, which is our course catalog of courses for next year and the expectations and requirements by the state of New Jersey and by Chatham. We're going to talk about the grade 9 core courses and elective courses, and we're going to talk a little bit about the student perspective. There'll be a second 8th grade orientation that's going to occur later in May, maybe the beginning of June. And that's going to talk more about the high school schedule. That'll be after schedules are built. It's going to talk about the student life. So what a day would look like in the life of a Chatham High School student. We also have a student parent panel. So when you leave here tonight, you're going to believe most of what I say, I think, and hope it's all of what I say, but some of the things you're going to see maybe seem, I don't know if that's really going to be what Mr. Groh is saying, what Darren Groh is saying. What you're going to realize in September when your child is going through here, that most of what we're saying actually is going to be happening because it's happening year after year. But if he were to and then there would be a student tour in that second orientation as well. Then you'll pan back over to the podium. So our goal for tonight is to prepare you for course selection. That's going to be happening over the course of the next few weeks. The 8th graders will be selecting courses in the middle school. Your 8th grade teachers will be making those recommendations, and then high school counselors and Mr. Walker will be coming down to confirm those recommendations. Parents and students will also have an opportunity to select elective courses which are not recommended. It's by choice. On the parent portal, there will be a 5-day window that the portal will be open for parents to make and students to make those selections. We're going to talk about, and understand the academic levels, the college prep and honors level courses here at the high school. And I'm going to probably spend a little bit of time on that because I want to make sure that when you're getting courses recommended, and you see that you have other options in front of you, that you really trust the recommendations of the teachers that your children currently have. We're going to talk about the electives, provide some information on that, and how those elective sequences work through over the course of 4 years. And then we're going to show you also a 4-year worksheet. So the graduation requirements in the state of New Jersey, every single student that goes through a public school in New Jersey must complete these requirements. Most courses are 5 credits. So when you look at the English, 20 credits over 4 years, it's English all 4 years. Same thing with health and physical education, math and science and social studies. You need 3 years of each of those subject areas. In most cases here, students are taking 4 years. Not necessarily a full year course. We have elective courses which are semester long by the time they get to junior, senior year. And then you have visual and performing arts, 21st century life, and financial literacy. And you'll see here at the end you have 12.5 credits of electives. And that's if you hit the 120. Students, if they took 8 classes each year, they end up with 160 credits. Most of our kids are taking study hall each year, which would be 20 credits. So students are still graduating with between 130 and 140 credits after 4 years here at the high school. This is the sample worksheet. So as you look to my far right, to your left, that's 9th grade year. So all 9th graders are going to have an English 9 course at some level or another. They're health and PE, math, science, social studies, which will be US 1 for everyone, and a world language. The bottom 2 boxes are open because those are the boxes where you fill in what you would like to do. If you're in music, music for us as an elective is a full year program, that would fill in one of the boxes. If you were taking an art class and a business class, you would take one of those boxes and put both of those courses in there because each of them will take up half a year. One will be semester 1, one will be semester 2. So there is not a lot of choice once you're entering the high school. You'll notice junior year there's more options, and then senior year there's a lot more options to take courses or elective courses in areas that you maybe have an interest. Things to consider. One of the biggest things that you need to consider, and your 8th graders or your upcoming 9th graders need to consider, is a smooth transition. A bumpy road is tough to smooth out after you've started. Making the right course selection, coming in and taking your time to acclimate to the big school, right? You're no longer going to be 8th graders with 6th graders. You're going to be 14-year-olds sitting next to 18-year-olds. Some students in here, when they come in here in September, they're going to be sitting next to young men who have beards and mustaches fully grown. And that's going to be a very different experience. Are your 9th graders going to be nervous? Your 9th grader may not say they're nervous, but I promise you, there's going to take some time to acclimate to being the small fish in the big pond, or the younger student here at the high school. What I'm very proud to say is that we have never had seniors pick on or put kids in lockers. They are welcoming. They were too once freshmen, and they know how they were treated by the seniors as well. So that transition in the acclimating to the high school is going to be key. The quicker a student is comfortable in our building, comfortable working with their teachers, comfortable eating lunch next to 17-year-olds and 18-year-olds, the quicker they're going to be able to focus on their academics. They're going to be able to become a part of the high school beyond just schoolwork, and that's going to be key. Academic stress. As much as I'd like to say there's not going to be any stress, it's simply not true. Credits will count starting August 25th next year when your child's in 9th grade. It's going to count towards those 120 credit requirements. It's going to count towards your child's grade point average over 4 years. So all of that simply comes with pressure because you always want to end up being the best, but it's a long road to get there, right? It's 4 years to get there, or even each year is a pretty long year. So that does count. Flexible leveling, I'm going to say, goes a little bit with that academic stress. One of the biggest challenges we have here at the high school is trying to help, and I'll say convince, but I would like to say support parents and students understanding the recommendations that their 8th grade teachers are making, trusting those recommendations, and coming in the right level, with the right course load, with the right rigor, so that the student also has an opportunity to do things other than just academics. One of the challenges that we face, whether it's with mental health, whether it's with grades, right, because the more rigorous each of your courses are, the greater the challenge to do as well in each of those courses that you'd like to do, which means you're not getting the A's you'd like to have. Maybe you're getting A minuses or B pluses or B's or B minuses or even C's. That creates stress. Flexible leveling. If you come in here in 9th grade and you're following the recommendations that are being made and you do well, you're not pigeonholed into that level. So let's just say you come in at the English 9A level, which is below honors, but it's the next level below honors. And you always wanted to be an honor student because you want the weight, you want to say you're an honor student, you want to make sure you get into Ivy League college, and 9th grade honors is important. It's not going to happen because of 9th grade honors. What will happen in English 9A is if your child is doing well, very well, and the teacher recognizes the skill level of that child, that recommendation to 10th grade English is not going to be, in most cases, at English 10A. The recommendation would probably be to English 10 honors, or the next level up. And this happens at every level. If your child is in English 9B and doing very well and meeting all those skills that is that course, it's very probable that that teacher is going to recommend that child for English 10A. If they're in English 9A, they'd be recommended to English 10 honors, so on and so forth. So we don't pigeonhole because in 9th grade, you're at a certain level. That level may ebb and flow. Number one is your skills increase. Number two is as your interest increases, right? So you may come in here with 3 honors classes in 9th grade and say, science was okay, but I'm not really as interested. I don't want to spend 2 hours every night in 10th grade on honors chemistry, but I really like English and social studies. So you keep honors in those levels, and you drop a level in the science class. So you're not locked in. So that flexible level is important. And if anybody says if you don't go in with all honors, you're going to be behind the 8 ball, you're going to be chasing everybody all the way through, they're not being honest with you. Or they don't know. Or both. Exploring interests. I said before, if your child comes to Chatham High School in 9th grade from 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock, and then goes home and does more schoolwork, they are losing out on a whole lot that the high school has to offer. They're losing out on clubs and activities. They're losing out on athletics if they were to make one of our athletic teams. They're losing out on socializing. All of those pieces is what makes Chatham High School what it is. If you take any of those pieces out or you isolate one of them and only focus on one of those things, I don't even know the name for it, but it's just not good. It's not going to give you the well-rounded experience and the development that your child needs over the 4 years between 14 and 18 years old. Counselor meetings. Every single year, counselors meet with each of their counselees. So in 9th grade, you'll have an introduction meeting somewhere in November. You can kind of get your feet wet. Counselors are going to meet with the 50 counselees that they have in 9th grade, see how things are going, see where support may be needed. 10th grade, they're voluntary meetings if the 10th graders and or parents would like to meet with the counselor. 11th and 12th grade, there are mandatory meetings at least with the students. So the biggest support for each student in this building is a school counselor, and the counselors get to know the kids. The counselors also get to know the parents and the families because our counselors stay with the students. So if anybody here has a child in the high school now, your incoming 9th grader will have the same counselor. So we don't make it 9th grade all goes to these counselors and they just flip counselors the next year. We want there to be familiarity. We want there to be comfort level. We want there to be a knowledge base so that when it comes to the next step, whether it's college or employment, that our counselors are able to really speak well to each of the students that they counsel or have counseled over the last few years. So that's critical. And the last point here is the growth and development. If you're rushing to the top, you're going to miss so many steps along the way, and there's going to be gaps in the development and growth of your child. If you take time, and I'm talking to the 8th graders. 8th graders, just raise your hand just so I get an idea of how many people. Raise your hand high, the 8th graders. Okay, so it's a decent number here. If you take your time and you do what's right along the way, you're going to build a foundation in your academic course load. You're going to build a foundation for what you have to offer here at Chatham High School. You're giving to us, we're giving to you. Right? This isn't, you're not doing us a favor, we're not doing you a favor. We're going to give you opportunities, and it's only going to be valuable if you take them. Okay? We could offer the moon and the stars, but if you don't take them, it's not worth anything. So taking your time and really being at the level you need to be at to really create success, build success, and grow is only going to put you in a better place in 10th grade, 11th grade, and 12th grade. Some things you're going to recognize from 8th grade to 9th grade. Writing in various forms, analyzing primary and secondary source evidence, supporting judgments, solving problems with math, inquiry learning, and using evidence and reasoning to explain and argue scientifically. That's not going to look very different. That's going to look pretty similar to what you do in your classes now in 8th grade. What's going to be different is going to be the rigor or the level or the expectation. So what maybe was 20 minutes of homework in 8th grade may turn into 40 minutes of homework, not every night, where necessary here at the high school. So you're just going to see that as the courses become more rigorous, the expectation, the work, the time to do those courses well is also going to increase. So these are the things that are going to look a little bit different than maybe what you're experiencing right now. One step at a time. You talked before, it's a four-year journey. You have to focus on year by year, not looking at where you want to go to college in 9th grade. You want to look at the courses you want to take and things that are going to want you to come back tomorrow. I'm going to go off script here a minute, but Chatham is highly ranked in a lot of publications. And they're ranked because of categories such as SAT, ACT, test scores, and all these things that really a small population are a part of our school. What it doesn't do is really look at our school environment. It doesn't look at the relationships that are built. It doesn't look at the interactions that occur in classrooms each day, not just between the teachers and the students, but between the students and the students. The conversations that are had, the discussions that are had, the respect, and I'll say the mutual respect that is there, not just from the teacher to the student, but from the student to the teacher. All these things are a part of what builds the rich experience that our kids get here every single day. And I say they're happy to come here because our attendance is really good. I can say they're happy to come here because they're active in their classroom discussion. I can say they're happy to come here because when I walk through the halls every period where the other administrators walk through the halls and we look in classrooms, they're on task, they're interacting. Those are the pieces that they're going to take with them from Chatham High School and be able to go anywhere in the country, any school, any workplace, anywhere, and be able to be successful because they can communicate. That's one of the challenges, this whole virtual, I mean, we have no choice, but having everybody back is just such a game changer to just have people, even you all here tonight, I appreciate you coming out, and those who are going to be watching this video tomorrow, you're getting a lot of information too, but it's just not the same. It's just a different dynamic. And I say that to focus on those short-term goals. What they choose next year is going to matter for what they choose in 10th grade and then 11th grade. And before you know it, that long-term goal, that result, is a year away. Acclimating, building confidence, getting involved. We talked about that before. That's key in 9th grade. Building an appropriate schedule. We talked a lot about that. Academics should be a part of the high school experience, but it shouldn't be compromised. So what I mean by that is don't join 4 clubs and take low-level academic classes that are going to be easy. That's not what I mean. I mean take a good schedule that you're going to have to work hard to do well, but it's not going to take 23 hours a day for you to achieve what you'd like to achieve. There's got to be that balance there. And I promise you parents, you'll be happy also, because the more they don't know, the more you're going to have to help them with those things at home with school. And a lot of the stuff that's happening here academically, you may also not know. So that's going to create a lot of conflict and friction at home too. I can say that as a father as well as an administrator here. And utilize the resources we have. We have really nice relationships with our counselors and their students, with our case managers. We have a college and career assistant that helps students with colleges, but also with careers and vocational interests. Our preview of the program is, or review of the program of studies. So there's a course catalog that's going to be posted. It's called the Program of Studies. It's going to be a catalog of every course that we have to offer. You're basically going to be looking more at the elective courses in each department because that's what you can choose from. When you go on the portal, those are the only options you have. You won't have options that needed a recommendation. You'll only have options that you're able to select from. This is an example of experiencing fine art. It just shows the layout of the grade level that we offer it in, whether it's a semester course or a full year course, if there's any prerequisite to see if you're eligible for that course, and then a brief description of that course. Our academic levels, we have C, B, and A, or all college preparatory. Our C is a special education resource level. Our B is, it's a small group, more individualized instruction and small group instruction, probably between 13 and 18 students in the level B. There's typically a second teacher in that room, in most cases, or a paraprofessional. And the pacing is adjusted for the dynamics. I will also say that every class that we have here, every section, we could have 5 sections of English 9. The cohort, that dynamic in that room, will also dictate the pace in which that course goes. So just because I'm teaching 2 English 9 courses doesn't mean each day both courses will be on exactly the same page at the same time. That wouldn't be good teaching. We want our teachers to know your class, know the room, and teach the students that are there, not just for the next chapter that you have to get through. And that's important. And our level A, our students are working a little bit more independently in a small group. It is more rigorous than B and C for sure. There'll be a lot more analyzing and synthesizing of information and application of ideas. It's the same curriculum. It may not necessarily always be at the same exact pace, but it is the same content and standards. And at the honors level, it's a greater, deeper expectation of skills in analyzing, synthesizing, and applying knowledge. When you look at the program of studies, this is an example of the course sequence. So I talked about leveling before. This sequence only shows going straight across. Assuming you're recommended at the proper level, most students are going to go straight across. That being said, if you're in US 1A, if you're in US 1A here and you do very well, you could end up coming down. Well, this is a bad example because Honors US 1 is the first half of AP US, so this isn't a good slide to show it to. But in any case, it's just showing the sequence of courses from left to right in grade 9 through 12. And you notice over here all the elective courses. By the time you get to grade 12, and in some cases you could double up in grade 11, you could select some areas of interest in addition to the courses that are required. And the same thing here for English, same thing. So if we look over here, if you take English 9A, it's not working, and you do very well, you could end up coming down to Honors English 10 here on the bottom, and then coming across. And again, you could always go change levels if that's what's warranted. So which road will you take? I've really stressed the recommendation process. I think teachers know best. They've had your child for 5 or 6 months, but by the time they're making recommendations, they know their knowledge base, they know their skill set, they know their work ethic, at least what your child has shown them. That's going to be the best recommendation. The next thing to think about is each of your child's 5 teachers are recommending to a course in their department. When they sit with the counselor to confirm those courses, the counselor is looking at all 5, right? So your English teacher may say, oh, okay, yeah, Honors English 9, that's great. But your English teacher doesn't know that the social studies teacher and science teacher are also saying the same thing. They're only looking out, which they should be, only on their own. Taking English 9 honors as one honors class in your schedule may be perfectly fine. Taking honors in each of those classes in 9th grade now is 4 honors or 5 honors. Game changer. So that has to be a thought process also. Just because your teacher's saying it, I don't mean to contradict myself here, doesn't mean you should be doing it. You have to look at the totality of it. So it's great that your teacher's recommending honors. Take a look at all the recommendations. Is that course load in total something that you're able to or want to do as you're coming into 9th grade? You can always take a level lower than recommended. You can't take a level that's higher. That's a waiver. So your child will be prepared, whatever level they're at, to do whatever they're going to do after high school, whether it's college or employment. Each student may take a different path. We have students here that may start out with a couple of honors. We may have some students that never take an honors. It doesn't matter. We have students who may come into their own academically in 11th grade because it was more important to come in and be a part of the school community before they really jump into the academics or take a higher level of academic. They wanted to do other things first. That's also fine. So it's going to happen in different stages, which is also why it's important to follow the people who are on the journey with your child. And it's not your neighbor. It's not your cousin or your aunt or your uncle or anybody else. The people that have seen your child work as they're going through Chatham High School. Your child at some point is going to take the lead. They're going to know, I've experienced enough, I know what it's like in the high school, I know what I'm capable of doing. I know that I really like English, so I want to do a lot of writing, but I don't want to spend a lot of time on environmental science or physics. So I'm going to stay in level A, and I'm going to try to get into honors in English in honors English in 11th grade. Follow them. They're the ones who are actually going to be the ones who are doing that work. So it should be happening that they're advocating for themselves and really taking that lead. And challenges aren't failures. Maybe they get a C. Some of the greatest value in this building have been students who have taken a chance and have gotten a C, but the experience getting that C was more valuable on a daily basis than sitting in a class that was a piece of cake. They didn't have to do any homework because they just knew it and they got an A. Grade point average looks different, but the experience is also very different. And those are things to think about as they go through here. I want to show a couple of of transcripts here just to talk a little bit about that progression and support that progression I was talking about. So this is a transcript. We have a couple of concepts courses that are up here. That's now considered level B. The way I read this transcript in this student is in 9th grade, they took all the courses they were recommended for. 3 concepts level courses in English, US 1, biology. They took a learning skills class and regular, A level in the other classes. They did well, got all A's and B's. They ended up with a 3.4 GPA. The second year, they went from concepts biology to regular chemistry. So they built success, they built confidence, and they jumped a level in science. By the third year, they jumped a level in English and in social studies also, and ended up with a 3.57 GPA. And by senior year, they took all the electives they were interested in, all the courses and some academic electives as well, and ended up with all A's and B's with a 3.58 GPA. So I see a progression from taking what's recommended, get comfortable, acclimate in 9th grade, and as you build success, you also raise the level of academic rigor because you're prepared for it. And it's worked out well. So this is a 3.57 GPA. These are the schools that the student applied to and were either accepted or denied. So the student was accepted to competitive, very competitive, and highly competitive colleges and was denied from a highly competitive college in the University of Connecticut. Starting in 9th grade with the, I'll call it the lowest academic level quadrant of the four years on the transcript, and progressing along the way and ended up with some very, very good options here for college. This is another one. This is a student who started out in all level A in English, social studies, Spanish, biology. All A's and B's. Looks like he had a C in geometry. Whoever it was had a C in geometry. Stayed the path 10th grade. In 11th grade said, let me take honors English 11 after getting an A in English 10. Ended up with a C+, but this actually talks to the experience. So the experience that this student received or had in honors English 11, even though they got a C+, doesn't mean it wasn't a good experience. It just means they didn't do as well as they would have done had they not been in the honors class. But they had to measure, was gaining this experience more worthy than getting an A in a course that maybe would have been easier. And then by senior year, took a couple of more advanced placement classes. So again, progression in academic rigor throughout the 4 years. Ended up with a 3.3 GPA. These are the schools that student applied to and was either waitlisted or denied. Again, all very competitive and highly competitive schools that they were accepted to. A couple of schools they were waitlisted and one that they were denied. So there are options there. Again, the point is, and there's one more here we want to show you, but the point is you don't have to come in and start off thinking you have to be at the finish line. It's more important, dramatically more important, that you're coming in, you're getting comfortable, you're building success. As I said earlier, it's going to want you to come back tomorrow, right? When you do well, you want to come back and do well tomorrow, and do well the next day. And that's going to happen if those recommendations are followed. Same thing over here. We have a student who started with 2 honors classes, took 3 honors classes the second year, 3 the third year, ended up with 3 more the fourth year, ended up with a 3.8 GPA. Again, nice progression. And these are the colleges that the student applied to, got into, and then denied from 2 mostly competitive. So the most competitive colleges in the country are the ones that the student got denied from. Although he or she also got into 3 mostly competitive colleges. There's going to be a college, if you're applying to the right ones, you're going to get into that. There's going to be some that are reaches that you may get into. Again, you may do fine there, but the caution is if it's a reach and you get in there, or you're going to do well there. There's going to be an experience that you're going to have that's going to be a positive experience there. Any questions on the first part of everything I just talked about? We'll have the floor for questions later as well. Okay. Mr. Walker's going to come up and talk a little bit about the elective options that the 9th graders will have as well.
All right, good evening. So my name is Doug Walker. I'm one of the assistant principals here, along with Ms. Geronda. And I'm going to speak a little bit about some of the elective choices that the students are going to be able to make coming up soon in the parent portal. And it's particularly in the area that Mr. Gross showed before for graduation requirements, in which by the time you graduate high school, you had to have earned 5 credits in 21st century life and careers, and 5 credits in visual and performing arts. So I'm going to focus on those. We have a number of electives in the academic areas, but they're primarily for grades 10, 11, 12 students. So we're going to talk a little bit about art, business, design, technology, family, computer science, music, and theater. Before I get into some of these flow charts and show the sequences, what I wanted to kind of explain is that you're going to see in each of these areas, there is a sequence. So if it's an area of interest, you can pursue it each year and build knowledge and skills in that content area. But they're also designed for someone that doesn't want to focus on one area, but wants to spend their time in high school experiencing different areas to see if it's something that you might want to pursue. And we're set up really nice for that because the majority of our electives are semester courses. Some are full year, but the majority are electives, so it allows you to try some of these and to make a decision if it's something that you want to pursue as you move forward. So the first area I'm going to look at are art courses, or visual art courses. And you'll see on the far left of the diagram here, there are 2 courses that one of these 2 can act as a prerequisite for all the others. And in the past in Chatham High School, it's always been experiencing fine art. That's the course. You take that, it's a semester course. Once you complete that course, it opened up the doorway for the other courses. Starting this school year, we did make one change on the art department and the district curriculum supervisors, that if in Chatham Middle School, if you took Studio Art 8, that could be a replacement for experiencing fine art. So if you are in it now or you took it, you will not have to take experiencing fine art in order to take courses like drawing 1, sculpture, ceramics 1, metal or fibers. It doesn't mean you can't though. If you took Studio Art 8 in middle school and you do want to come in and take experiencing fine art, which is really an art course that exposes you to all the mediums, you still can. But I just wanted to bring that point up. So when you go into the portal, if you did complete that course, then you'll see the options for the others. There's 2 pathways in art. There's a 3-dimensional path and a 2-dimensional path. If you do decide to stay on that sequence, you'll see that it does capstone with advanced placement drawing or advanced placement 3-dimensional art. So these courses are in the program of studies, and you'll be able to possibly select those if they interest you. In our business department, financial literacy sort of sits out there by itself. Financial literacy is a high school graduation requirement. All students must take a course in financial literacy to graduate high school in New Jersey. It's a 2.5 credit course. It meets that requirement. The other course in our school that also meets that requirement is advanced placement economics. So a student who takes that would meet that requirement. So that one kind of sits alone, is in the business department. I will tell you that I see a number of times a lot of freshmen come in and they want to take that course, they kind of want to get it out of the way. Sometimes it's fine, but it's not as relevant. It's personal finance, it's budgeting. They talk about things like purchasing homes, purchasing cars, managing your own finances, credit. Much more relevant to a more upperclassman who's about to maybe go off into college and have some credit and things like that. So just want to keep that in mind. The relevancy younger isn't always as great as you get closer towards graduation. But in our business department, our first course is Business 101. And then once you complete that semester course, you have the ability to choose Marketing Strategy Essentials, Investments in Portfolio Management. And for students who choose to stay with this sequence and take all of those courses, the capstone course that's available is Entrepreneurship, and that is an honors level semester elective that you can get to. So, and I bring this up because as I show these different scenarios, if it is an area that you are very interested in, I want you to know that there are capstones, but you do have to make sure then that you're scheduling yourself for the courses that will get you there, if that's where you want to get. In our video multimedia production sequence, we have our course that begins with digital media design. This is our television studio production. students who follow this sequence can actually capstone in an honors course called short films. Students who take courses in this area also do different productions around the school. We have students who are filming things like this tonight. There's a number of opportunities to get involved in various levels of video and film and TV production. And then in our engineering and architecture areas, we have our first course, which is Introduction to Design and Innovation. That's a semester course, so that's the first prerequisite that you would be looking at now in grade 9 coming in. And then that opens up the doorway to 2 different full-year courses, 3D engineering design and architectural design. So one can be taken in grade 10, one can be taken in grade 11. And if you decide to continue with that sequence as you get into your senior year, there is a capstone honors design studio course that you could get to. And like I said, you don't have to get to these capstones. You could just take Intro to Design and Innovation because you think you might be interested in design, engineering, and you might take that course and realize this is not what I'm interested in, and then you could hop over to another elective moving forward. In our computer science sequence, we have animation and movement that sort of sits out there on its own. That's the first level course that if you're not really sure if this is an area that you're interested in, you want to kind of get a feel for computer science, that would be the course that I would recommend. It would be 2.5 credits towards the 5 credit requirement, and that could be the last computer science course you ever take, or maybe it inspires you to continue moving forward with it. We do have a sequence, 2 different sequences here in computer science if it is something that you find you're very interested in and want to pursue. If you think that you want to get to advanced placement computer science course or honors advanced robotics, you can see the sequence options that you have, right? So robotics and controls or game design with Python would be the course that you'd be looking at now as you're scheduling to open up the doorways for you for the next levels of courses in that area. Family Computers and Consumer Science is another 21st century class that meets that requirement. We have a sequence of Culinary Arts 1 and Culinary Arts 2 that are options. We also have a course on early childhood development, as well as a course on fashion, textile, construction, and design. So that is a newer course was put in a couple years ago, and that's in our Family Consumer Science. In Theater Arts, we have a progression of Theater Arts 1, Theater Arts 2, and Musical Theater, or Theater Arts Studio, which would be a capstone there. In music, we have instrumental and vocal music. So our concert choir, our concert orchestra, our symphonic band, that would be your first level course. Those are full year courses, so they'll take up a whole box in your one full period in your schedule. And it is a course that you can continue to take for all 4 years of high school. However, there is a progression within each of those areas, and some are by audition. And we have, in the vocal areas, we have chamber choir, and then a more select Chatham Voices group, as well as in band, we have the wind ensemble. There are also 2 semester electives that are available, no prerequisite. Music theory, semester course, and piano lab is a semester course. So this is, going back to what Mr. Groh was shown before, this is an example of that 4-year worksheet. And so when it comes time for you to go onto the portal and start selecting your electives, you're going to see the 6 academic courses that were recommended by your teachers. Okay, that's going to fill the first 6 boxes, including the world language. You're going to have, there's 2 empty periods, and you have a choice. If you want to have a full year study hall, Mr. Groh mentioned that a high percentage of our students, or at least 3/4, take a full year study hall, then you would leave one of those boxes blank and then would leave one more box that could be filled with 2 semester electives or 1 full year elective in grade 9. So your choices are a little more limited in grade 9, but you can see that as you progress through each year of high school, more and more opportunities come to be able to select the courses you want instead of taking the required courses. Doesn't mean you don't take academics, it's that you have a choice on which academic courses you take and which elective courses you take. So this is kind of what it's going to look like. I just wanted to bring up before I pass it over to Mr. Groh. On the front page of our high school website, under the announcements tab, there is an announcement there. It says scheduling information for incoming grade 9 students. So this is for you. And all the information is there that you're going to need for this. So the program of studies is there. Information about our electives. We have commercials that were made by students, video commercials where you can kind of get a little bit about some visuals of what happens in these classes. Those are there, as well as the dates for the scheduling process will all be there. So I just wanted to point that out to you, and we'll be sending some school messengers out with this information too. Thank you.
Okay, some things to know here. Course recommendations, as I said earlier, current 8th grade teachers will make those recommendations in the course subjects. They are the perfect person to be making those recommendations. That being said, there is a waiver opportunity, and what a waiver is if a teacher is recommending a student for a course, but they want to go into a higher course, they can waive into the higher course. And what that's basically doing is documenting to us or to you that you are going to request a higher level course against the recommendation. I would tell you that when that occurs, it's perfectly fine. We typically have a couple of hundred a year. Keep in mind we have 11,500 seats that we schedule a year, so 200 waivers out of 11,000 is not a large number. But if a student does go against the recommendation and waive into a course, they would need to request a waiver from the subject area supervisor. It'll be posted on the website for each of the subject areas. They would fill it out and return it back to the high school or submit it. Keep in mind, anybody who waives into a course must remain in that course for a quarter of the year, so they cannot go back to the recommendation until the first quarter is complete, and that's around the beginning of November. And the reason for that is we don't want them selecting a course that they're not recommended for, getting in it for the first week or two, get nervous because of the rigor, and then just kind of jump ship and run back. That's not going to work. We're building a master schedule off of the courses that students are asking for, so there's limited seating in all of our courses, frankly. What we also find is when a student waives and they stay in there for the 8 or 9 or 10 weeks, even if it was difficult in the beginning, it's less difficult. It's still more difficult than the recommendation, but it's less difficult than it had been. They are adjusting as they go through. Okay, but again, 99% of the time the recommendations are where they need to be. There's also that window, so after the 18th, no more course waivers would be accepted. So there will be a message going out that if you're interested in waiving a course, it would be during that time frame because we're building that master schedule. Schedule constraints. Just because you're selecting courses that you want does not necessarily mean you're going to get them. Some courses we only have enough students, maybe 30 students who are vying for an 18-seat or 22-seat course. Some students are not going to get it. The way the course, the way the master schedule is built, it's going to knock students out of courses that they wish they would have had. The good thing with the 9th grade is if you're knocked out, you have 3 more years to kind of get the course that you wish you would have had in 9th grade. If your student or if a student is knocked out of a course that they requested, there'll be an opening in their schedule. Council will be reaching out and will pick a second course that you may want to take. And so you're always going to come out with a full schedule. It just may not be the first thing you would have liked. As Mr. Walker said, on the front page of the website, there is the scheduling information. There's a virtual course option. So we have a product called Eduseer, and they serve online courses for us. So students have the ability to take a course online through Eduseer, and those courses would count towards the fulfilling the requirement here at the high school. It's not the same as sitting in our seat. It is a quicker way or a more convenient way in some cases to get courses that maybe you couldn't get here. So you want to be thoughtful when you're doing that, but it would be Eduseer would be the provider that we use. The elective videos, again, both links are here. It's part of our YouTube station. There's a video clip for 2 or 3 minutes from each of the electives, so go in, sample it through the video before you're making your determination when the parent portal opens. Scheduling timeline. So at this point, 8th graders should have teachers probably already starting to communicate the courses that they may be recommending you into next year. On February 3rd and 4th, Mr. Walker is going to be going down and presenting something similar to this to the high school or to the 8th grade students. And then we'll be opening up the portal for the students to be able to see the courses they were recommended for, and then select the elective courses that will fill up those bottom 2 boxes that are available in 9th grade. On February 17th and 18th, once the recommendations are in and the course requests in the parent portal are in, we're going to send counselors down to the middle school to confirm the selections that the student wants that are going to be used to build our master schedule at the end of March. And on March 18th, any waiver that a student would want must be in, and then we would change that recommendation in the system before building that master schedule. Tonight's presentation, the program of studies, supervisor contact information, those waiver forms, and elective videos will all be found in the announcements tab under the high school website, so you'll have all that information. And at this time, we'll take any questions. I would ask that questions, if they're general, it's good that we talk about it and everybody can hear it. If they're more specific, you can come up at the end once everybody's done here. So are there any questions from the information that we shared? So I was perfect? You could say, okay, I'll take that. Really, I'll just drive this home one more time before you all leave. Trust the recommendation process. You have 4 years to get to where you want to be. Starting off on the right foot and building that foundation is so key to having a balanced high school career for the next 4 years. Okay? If you don't understand what I'm saying, call me tomorrow and I'll say it again. I cannot emphasize this enough. The greatest challenges happen when people bite off more than they can chew before they're prepared to do that. That's all I'm going to say about that. But it's very important. Thank you all very much for coming out tonight. This will be posted tomorrow if you wanted to look at it again. If you have any questions, feel free to come on up and have a good night. Thank you.